everybody. This is Dianne, and you are here for another episode of Biters. Tonight, I am joined by
Marnell,
and we are doing our much-delayed podcast about episodes 3 and 4 of Fear.
This is a twofer.
This is a twofer because, really, honestly, full disclosure, you guys, I couldn't make myself watch last week, and I made myself watch this week.
Well, and we both had company over the weekend, and life just
did.
kind of got in the way. And, you know, we're not really enthused about Fear this season. I mean, not that really anyone is, it seems to be, except for you, Thomas Reese.
Hey,
or you
Thomas
just
Reese.
You're trolling us. I know you are. So, you know, it's just last night we put off podcasting because I did not feel 100%. And if I'm going to talk about something that I don't like, I'm at least going to be funny about it. And I was not going to be clever last night. So here you go.
I almost put it off tonight, but it's kind of like a root canal. I just have to get it done.
Yeah.
Just have to get it over with.
Yep.
So why don't you go? I'm going to go ahead and rate it. I'm going to go first, actually. And I'm going to rate like both as one episode.
Me too.
So for me, this was 2.5 out of 5 professional haircuts.
And I was a little bit higher just because I found a few things to like. I latched onto a few things, and I rated it 3 tokes at Bible study.
I love it. That's the best rating ever. Okay, you win. That's the best rating ever. We just need to stop now.
Go out on a high note.
Right.
Literally. See, well, I told you I was going to be funny tonight.
I was going to tell you, it's all that conversation about marijuana with Thomas O'Mara.
It is. He's fascinated with the legalization of it in Alaska.
Oh, God.
He's just jelly.
All right, so the numbers. Teotwawki, I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
Gesundheit.
Teotwawki. Let's see, they had 2.5 million views on the same day. I'm going to be straight up and say I did not bother to look up Live Plus 3 or Live Plus 7.
Okay, so here's what I found. There's actually a article about Fear getting a jump in the ratings with their Live Plus 3 and Live Plus 7, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Go ahead, share it, because I have a different take on it.
Teotwawki earned a 52% jump in viewership.
Wow.
So 1.7 same day, and then rising to 3.8 in their plus 3, I believe.
Oh, no, that's interesting because I had 2.5 million same day.
Ah, okay, so that must have just been live viewing, like, because they usually do it and then they rerun it again later in the evening.
Right.
So this is comicbook.com.
So a total of 3.86, is that what you said?
3.8.
3.8.
Yeah. And then...
And was that Live Plus 3 or Live Plus 7?
That looks like Live Plus 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And the latest episode, 100, 2.3 million views, and will likely pick up over 1 million in the days following the air. So...
And the number I had was 2.4 million views, so that's pretty consistent.
Yeah. So
the article I read said 100 was a series low, and the headline was Fear the Walking Dead hits another low.
Well, you know, I think we talked about this in our retrospective of TWD Prime Season 1.
Yeah, we just had this conversation with Thomas. It's just not posted yet.
Yeah. So we were looking at numbers in the tens of millions for Season 3 of The Walking Dead. So, you know, they're doing like maybe 20 or 30% of what Walking Dead was doing at the same viewership time.
And I'm just going to give you a little perspective. This was perspective for me. So The Bachelorette on Monday had 5.86 million live views.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
The Bachelorette is still on. Jesus. Yeah.
So it's kind of painful.
It is. It really, really is. And I don't know if we said this on pod or not. But I wish they would. I know I said this, that the way that they can possibly save this is they can just reboot with an entire new cast, do like a True Detective type thing where you just kill off everyone here, and True Detective didn't do that, but you just start fresh with somebody else's new story and new characters, new scene, new area, just start fresh. Or you just put a bullet in it, wrap it up in season 4.
I would be willing to give either one a chance because I obviously haven't given up on the Fear the Walking Dead. Well, no, I haven't given up on the Walking Dead universe.
Right.
But I'm getting hard pressed to stick with Fear.
Yeah. That they're doing another mini episodes.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah. Kind of like the flight, was it Flight 294 or whatever
Something
it was?
like that. It was the flight that crashed that what's her face was in. The chick who was in the life raft.
Yeah. So they're going to do, I think I read it was like 16 little mini episodes again.
Are they going to show them during Walking Dead, or how are they going to get them to us?
I can't remember. I will see if I can find it and I will post it to the page.
Okay.
But they, and I think I remember them saying that they actually weren't even going to tie in to the Fear the Walking Dead.
Really?
Because you know how they kind of tied in the flight one?
Yeah.
They said that they were just going to kind of do little, kind of a one-off mini. And I think they said it was like 16 episodes and it was going to be like 20 minutes. So it was going to be like a minute and a half per little episode. Like, it was crazy. I'm like, really? Like, you're going to go to all that expense to film all of that? And so I don't know, maybe they see something like what I'm seeing, that they're going to have to go in a new direction because the direction they're isn't working.
Well, they did the whole thing last season with, or the first half of this season rather, with the gals who were on the border. And I have to be honest and say I didn't watch it. I just fast forwarded through that. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with this, although I probably won't watch it either. I'm sorry, you guys. I hate to be such a downer, but I'm having a really hard time sticking with Fear. It's just not working for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how they dropped the ball on this one.
I know. This is horrible. And if there are fans out there who feel the way Thomas Reese feels, who are really enjoying this, I feel kind of bad about saying this, but I'm going to be really honest. When I was watching last night, my reaction was, how can Greg Nicotero, Gail Ann Hurd, and Robert Kirkman put their names on this?
Yeah.
How can they?
Yeah. So Fear the Walking Dead, Dave Erickson on expanding the world of season 3 with a short form series, quote unquote, Passage.
Right. So Passage was the one that they did. I mean, that was what they were calling the one that they did during the first half of, or I guess I don't even know. It was last season. I'm so lost. It was last season that they did Passage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm behind the 8 ball on this one. I hadn't seen anything about it until recently.
Well, you probably don't get them because you download them.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that makes sense.
True.
Yeah, so Passage was all last season, and it was these 2 gals that were basically along the border. And I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. I fast forwarded through it.
Huh. I will have to go see if I can find them to see if they're interesting.
Let me know. Let me know if they're worth going back and watching.
Yeah, because we really had a tough time on the rewatches on this one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so admittedly, I told Marnell that I was going to watch 100 again because I felt like I didn't want to watch episode 3 again. Teotwawki, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, Teotwawki.
And I got about halfway through 100, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. Let's get on and do this. I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, and I was in the first 10 minutes of my rewatch, and I told Dianne, I was trying to do other stuff during my rewatch. I was trying to do laundry, actually, and I was just like, subtitles. I kept having to look up, and I caught like every third line. So I was like, all right, let's go do this. So here we are.
And okay, so I'm going to say one more thing. It kind of made me worry that I'm not a good lefty. Sorry, Thomas. Sorry, Brian. Because I thought, am I turned off because this is subtitled? Am I turned off because this is in Spanish? Am I turned off because this isn't my culture? I don't think so. I think I'm just turned off because I don't like this series.
I can't empathize with the characters at all. We're drawn to, and that's to say that you're turned off because it's another language. You're gravitate towards things that speak to you. So I'm not a big fan of country music. I'm not a big fan of rap music. You know, they don't resonate with me. You know, I'm not a country girl. I don't live in the South. I'm a white girl with no rhythm. So, you know, give me my Lilith Fair chick rock and I'm all there.
Well, you know, the thing go ahead.
So that's the thing is, you know, there could be a little bit of that, but, you know, we do have characters that kind of maybe should resonate with us and they're just not, you know, like we're supposed to be, you know, rah-rah Madison and we're just like die Madison, you know?
Well, you know, and the thing is a couple of things. I mean, the character who still probably resonates for me the most is Strand, who is a black drug dealer, right? Or maybe he's not a drug dealer. He's just a con artist. He's just kind of shady.
Yeah.
And I think I like him because he's shady. But the other thing is that I really like Ruben Blades as an actor. You know, I've watched several things he's been in. I've enjoyed him tremendously. I was really excited about him being in this series. And I'm just disappointed. Yeah. I was actually glad that they were bringing him back. And after these 2 episodes, I'm just bummed.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing is that I really liked episodes 1 and 2. I kind of felt like there was some hope.
Yeah, but like I said about 1 and 2, it was a really good thing that they aired them together because separately, I just don't think it had enough. But together, they did really well. So that was my thing with 1 and 2 is I knew as individual standalone episodes that it wouldn't have hooked me, but seeing them both together, I was like, okay, you know, this might be okay, and it's gonna be okay, Di.
Well, so let's do a little bit of individual stuff about each episode. So Teotwawki stands for the end of the world as we know it.
And I should have known this because I love to watch shows like Doomsday Preppers and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is Teotwawki?
I didn't know what it stood for until I looked at a summary about the episode yesterday.
Okay. Well, he does mention it in the episode in his little video that sells the videos.
Well, and I even wrote it down and I was like, oh, right. Okay, it's an acronym. But I didn't know that until I saw it like printed and discussed in this article that I looked at yesterday. So I'm lame. What can I say?
Yeah, and like I said, I should have known it because I love shows like Doomsday Preppers. So
that's so funny.
I'm very ashamed of myself for not catching that. But I actually, upon the rewatch, I actually kind of liked this episode because of Teotwawki. You know, that this was a guy who was a prepper. You know, he was all set up for whatever reason. You know, he thought that some sort of the end as we know it was coming, whether, you know, he thought that it was going to be an EMP or the dollar was going to drop out or nuclear fallout or whatever. He saw something coming and he tried to hawk his buckets and his videos and things like that. So I watching it for that, like you could just kill off all the other characters and we could follow the camp and I'd be fine.
Really? I don't like anyone in the camp well enough to follow them.
I like his daughter. I like Jeremiah's
Actually, no,
daughter.
I don't think it's his daughter, is it? I think it's a daughter of one of the other people. You're talking about the chick who took Alicia and got her stoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gretchen, I think. And I don't think she's Otto's daughter. I think she's the daughter of one of the other people in the camp.
You're right. Gretchen Trimble is her name on the show. Yeah, I liked her in the, like the Bible study wasn't what we thought it was going to be and everything. So, and that, I mean, that just kind of made me a little more interested because I really, you on the surface, the camp, is a lot of people who were, probably preppers and full disclosure, Dianne and I are lefties.
Neither one of us we're not preppers.
Well,
although we could probably survive pretty well given the rural way that we live. Me more than you, rural, but yeah.
And they said in I think 100 that water is the new currency,
right?
And I'm like, it falls from the sky on a regular basis here. I'd be fine.
Well, you live by a giant ice cube.
Yeah, I live 2.2 miles from a glacier, so I'll be fine. And food is abundant here in Alaska. We can fish and hunt and there's berries and roots and all kinds of other things that, people survived here for thousands of years, and it's not much different than what it was. I mean,
it's a lot warmer, but we won't go there.
I think that's why the bears are being so aggressive lately.
Oh,
it's
God.
so warm here. It's 62 freaking degrees outside right now. It is 8 o'clock at night, and it's 62 degrees, which is super hot for us.
I'm going to reframe for the people who don't live here, though, because I saw a thing on Facebook that it was like 100 degrees where one of my friends is, and it's nighttime, and she was like, this is going to be a hell night. So 62 may be hot for you or me, but...
It's a different hot, though. Even like my friend came from Texas, and she was freezing her butt off, but she was even like the day before she left, it was like 62 degrees, and she was like, yeah, it is kind of warm, like
so
she's going back to like 90-degree weather. And so, yeah, there's food is just really abundant here, and water and things like that. And so, you go to a place, like an inner city or something, and it's not the same. You don't have things that just grow out of the ground or streams that you can just collect fresh water from. I mean, honestly, there is some water here. If it's moving over quickly over rock, you don't even have to boil it. You pretty much be fine.
Oh my God. Okay, if anyone gets giardia from drinking stream water in Alaska, I did not endorse what she just said.
I have drank it and it is fine. Except for that whole parasitic worm that turned me into a crazed thing, like in a John Carpenter movie.
Oh, I was thinking it was like the episode with the flukes in X-Files. So now we're getting way off track.
Which was based on the John Carpenter movie.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, I'm going to haul us back in. So the writer for 3-3, Teotwawki, was a guy named Ryan Scott, and I recognized in his IMDb he wrote for Graceland, for the series Graceland, and he also has written for Torchwood, which is the Doctor Who spinoff.
Yes, yeah. I actually, much of a Doctor Who fan as I am, I have not watched Torchwood, so that's really interesting.
I'm going to confess I'm not a Doctor Who fan, so I'm so not cool.
You should. It's a good show.
I think I just have too many negative associations with it that have nothing to do with the show itself. So,
aww.
All right. And the director for episode 3-3 was Deborah Chow, and she directed Los Muertos last season, which was one that took place in La Colonia. And then she's also directed some pretty big stuff like Iron Fist. She had an episode of that. She did an episode of Turn.
I'm a big fan of Rain, which she has several credits for.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that. So cool. Nick is a fan of the Vampire Diaries, which kind of cracks me up. My husband watches those. And she's directed for that. And she also directed for Mr. Robot, which I haven't seen, but it's gotten really great reviews.
Oh, she did. I love Mr. Robot. She also did the Flowers in the Attic update.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Which, we're totally dating ourselves by saying that we know that book, right?
Not as good as the original movie. So, yeah.
And then episode 3-4, which was called 100. So the title is supposed to be the number of people that Salazar has actually killed.
You know what? I did not pick up on that. I was wondering.
I didn't pick up on that either. I did some reading yesterday. So even though I'm kind of down on the series, I tried to do some research so I could at least be semi articulate about it. It, like I said, had 2.4 million viewers, and you said that they expect that it'll probably pick up another 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Directed by a guy named Alex Garcia Lopez, who, interestingly enough, was involved with Misfits.
Which is such a good show.
Which we know.
I love European television, and this is like it's one of their crowning achievements, in my opinion.
And we know Cassidy, Joseph Gilgun from the Misfits, who is also Cassidy and Preacher. He also, the other thing that I recognized for him was Secret Diary of a Call Girl, and he's got some other credits as well, but those were the couple of things that I recognized.
Right.
Then the writer is a guy named Alan Page, and he wrote Los Muertos, so that was kind of a tie between this episode and last episode. And he also wrote The Fear of the Walking Dead Ouroboros, which I think was in the first season. Might have been in the first half of season 2.
Yeah, for some reason it's not ringing a bell.
And then he wrote for Kin and XY.
And
XY was on the Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Well, and I think it is a non-English show, it looks like, maybe? Yeah.
He has quite a number of credits in Spanish, and I figured that, part of it, quite honestly, was probably part of the attraction for him and part of the attraction for the director was that this was a heavily Spanish-speaking episode.
Right.
So I kind of thought that might be both their influence and their areas of comfort.
Right, yeah.
And let's see, then I picked the guy who plays Jake Otto to be our cast member of the week. And he's another Brit.
Of course.
Named Sam Underwood. And he has multiple credits. The ones that I recognize the most easily, he had a several episode arc in Homeland. And he had a several episode arc in Dexter.
Yeah, and he was the one that I think I talked about earlier that he played twins in The Following.
I think I remember you saying that.
Yeah, the Kevin Bacon show that I didn't realize was canceled. I've been waiting all this time for them to tie the storyline up, and it looks like I'm going to be kept waiting.
Oh, that's painful.
It was a really good show. It centered around cults, basically. A couple of basically murderous cults, and his character in The Following, the twins, were just sociopaths. I mean, just to see him in this when he first came on screen in this, and his brother in the show is crazy.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, he's just playing nice. He's really the one that's gonna wear your skin.
Okay, I'm going to admit something else embarrassing about watching these last couple episodes of Fear. I was like, Jake, good. Whatever the brother's name was, I'm like, so-and-so, bad. Because I had to try to keep him straight. Troy, bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was having a hard time keeping their names straight.
Well, they're both adorable brunette young men, so...
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of like young, beautiful blonde women. They all kind of look alike to me at this point. Hey, they're young and beautiful and they're blonde, so don't feel sorry for them. They just look alike to me.
I hear ya. And Walking Dead likes their young, beautiful blonde women.
Yes.
Who's thinking about Beth and Andrea and Amy.
That's funny.
Well, so okay, what was your good? And remember, we're picking from both episodes because we're doing this as a one-fer.
So on Teotwawki, my good, and it's obvious from my rating, was Bible study. I absolutely loved Bible study, where she's sitting there thinking that she's going to go listen to some Christian rock and read the Bible, and they hand her a bong and a drink, and they bring out Jeff, the zombie head.
Right.
That was just, I absolutely loved that. That, it was, everything is not what it seemed, and we got to see Alicia have connect with people her age and let her hair down a little bit. So... small oasis in the desert.
Okay, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised by Bible study because I thought it was going to be agonizing.
Oh, and that chick Gretchen, she totally played it up where she's like, "All right, we'll do Old Testament."
Right. Right. The other thing is that I don't know. I guess just what I said. I was pleasantly surprised because they really did play it up, and I thought that they were going to be pretty heavily attempting to indoctrinate Alicia.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have a question for you. So do you think that like Jeremiah is legit, and do you think that his faith is legit, and that the religious foundation for this compound is for real, or do you think that that's just part of his gimmick?
I think it started out that way,
As part of
and
the gimmick, or do you think it started out legit and became gimmick?
both. I think
You can't have it both ways.
Well, the Christian Broadcast Network can. They sell those.
Oh my God! See what happens when the lefties take over the podcast.
But no, they do. They're true believers, and they sell the bucket. So, I think he was a true believer, but you got to finance this show somehow. You know, that you can't just live on a prayer, and like what Bon Jovi told us.
You have to pay for hay. I get that. You have to pay for hay.
So
And by the way, the horse that he had in his promotional video, the saddle was too far back. I'm not even an expert at this, and I recognize that the saddle was too far back.
And you laugh at Thomas Bryan and I talking about the guns that are wrong.
I know. Well, a girl's got to get in her chops where she can.
So I think that he was a true believer, and he truly believed in the end times, and he wanted to build this utopia, or at least this survival place for people who were also true believers to come and to rebuild humanity and rebuild society. And I think along the way, he lost his faith. And, he's been through 2 wives, and he's got a crazy son. And he's just, he's seen a lot of the dregs of humanity. And now that the end has come and he was right, I think his faith has waned so much that I think he's just totally lost the path. And he's either going to give in to somebody else taking the reins, or he's going to run the thing into the ground with being a tyrant, and he's trying not to be. He even said, this is not, my little dictatorship. People do not bend to my will. But I really think that, when things start to go down, he's going to, hold tighter and tighter. So like I said, I think both. I think he was a true believer, and I think that it was all about the sales.
So I think he actually does believe that they still have a chance to rebuild their version of society, though. I mean, I get the feeling that he is still genuine about their compound being an oasis and a place where they can rebuild.
Yeah. And, and we try not to be too political on the podcast, but I think his video at the beginning where he said that, the Wall Street fat cats got richer and the politicians rolled over. And, I think you see a lot of that now where people they have lost their faith in the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And so I think you're right. He wants to rebuild in his image, in the image that I don't want to say his followers, because nobody's really following him. Supporters, yeah. I think that they want to rebuild society in the way that they view. And I think that's why they monitor the border and they shoot at anyone who comes across, because they're a threat to their way of life.
Well, I'm going to get a little political, but not partisan.
Right.
The thing is, I saw a comment recently on Facebook, and it was about our current political situation in the United States. And someone said the extreme left and the extreme right are basically sides of the same coin. And I think that is part of what we're seeing in groups like Jeremiah Otto's group, is that you really see a merging of people on both sides of the political spectrum who have completely lost faith in the ability of our government to move forward and to do anything productive.
Right. We're so partisan that we're at a standstill.
We're so close to Teotwawki.
Oh,
Well,
if only the zombie apocalypse would happen.
right. You know, it couldn't get much worse. I mean, Mother Earth does need an enema, so I'd be okay with that. And I have a gun, so. And a sword.
Well, population-wise, we may be at a breaking point. We may see some sort of viral outbreak, and it's not just here. I mean, the Brexit.
Right.
Even they have super partisan, and it was Scotland who voted to stay, I believe,
Right.
in the EU, and that was just before Brexit, and it's all jumbled right now, and it's not just the U.S.
And in the French election, we were looking at extreme partisan candidates.
Right.
So,
And whether you're left or right, it is very extreme to the left, to the right. So, and I think that's one thing, we always joke on the show because we have such a partisan righties and lefties on the show, but The Walking Dead really does bring us all together. So I think we have more in common than we don't.
We
So
at least have the zombie apocalypse in common.
yeah, exactly.
Well, so I'm going to take us in a little bit of a religious direction, which is kind of funny considering that your good was Bible study. My good was Ephraim. The guy who saved Daniel. Ephraim. I'm not sure if I said his name right. I think he really was a priest.
It wouldn't doubt me. I wouldn't doubt it. No.
I really, so if I liked anything in these last two episodes, I really liked the scenes between him and Daniel. And I really liked the scenes where Daniel asked for forgiveness. And I just thought, there are absolutely moments where I can see this man functioning as a priest, and I can see him in that place of absolving Daniel. So I really liked that imagery, and I enjoyed his character. I'm glad that his character survived to the end of the episode, and I'm hoping that we'll see him develop a little bit more. So that might be enough to keep me going.
Well, and like I said, I got through about the first 10 minutes of the rewatch, and I really thought that it was strange symmetry that they had to scrape away Salazar's skin, and that was how he tortured people.
Okay, that's good. I didn't look at it that way, and that's really good. I like that.
Yeah, they were doing it to save him, and he did it to torture people, and I thought that was just sort of strange symmetry that, that happened to Salazar. So what
was your bad?
Well, I did have a good for 100.
Oh, okay. I didn't do them separately, but go ahead. You said no, Madison.
No,
oh my
Madison.
God. Brian,
Yeah.
that was totally a nod to you. Thomas O'Mara, that was totally a nod to you. God.
So yeah, that was my good for that episode. There was no Madison.
Well, and I need to be honest that I liked 100 better than I liked Teotwawki, and I think part of the reason was I am just kind of done with Madison and her family and Nick and Luciana and their garbage.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot for those storylines to come back around for me.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really did like Ruben Blades, and I was looking forward to Salazar coming back. So I'm hoping that will go in a direction that I want to continue to watch.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead with your bad? I haven't really picked out a bad just because there were so many, everything was such a small thing, that it was the whole thing. So go right ahead.
So this is about Teotwawki. I didn't like the whole apocalypse, which is funny coming from someone who loves The Walking Dead, right? I didn't like the whole Waco Ruby Ridge feel. I expected David Koresh to come bursting out of one of the buildings at any moment. The whole prepper Waco anti-government, it just didn't do anything for me.
See, and that's funny because I liked it because
for that reason.
Well, and because I can just see that having watched so many doomsday prepper shows and I mean I think it's the Mormon faith who you have, is it 1 or 2 years per person in the household that you have to have food on hand for?
I think you're right. I think there is a guideline like that in the LDS church.
Yeah, yeah. So there really are people out there who are totally prepared for, this kind of thing. And, I really think that it's kind of a true to life thing that, they happened upon this place.
If we have any LDS listeners, which stranger things have happened, let us know. Tell us about that. That would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 years that they have.
I think you're right, though. I think there is a teaching like that in the church.
So, I mean, there's people out there who have bunkers in their backyard.
Well, I mean, by definition, a lot of Alaskans are preppers, but I don't know. It just had that whole militia Ruby Ridge,
and they did
Waco feel, and I just didn't like it.
Yeah, in his video, he actually did show the David Koresh compound, in flames.
Oh, did he really? See, I missed that because I wasn't very attentive.
Yeah, it's such an iconic image. It's so recognizable that I immediately recognized it as soon as it flashed on screen. It was just for a millisecond, but yeah. So that was there. So there's a reason why you got that feeling, whether it was subliminal or not.
I have to put in a plug for a book. I took a religious studies class from a guy back in Connecticut. His last name was Gallagher. Can't remember his first name right now. I want to say it's Mike. He wrote a book about Waco. And the book was called Why Waco? And a friend of mine sent it to me, and it was fascinating. So if you like prepper doomsday kind of scenarios and you're interested in real history, I would recommend Professor Gallagher's book Why Waco. It was very fascinating.
Interesting. So I don't think that Alaska per se has like a lot of preppers.
Oh, you just haven't been to the Matsu Valley.
Oh, no, I think we just have a lot of people that are self-sufficient, self-reliant.
No. We have a lot of preppers.
Do we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You just haven't been to my neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was funny. We had somebody here recently who was, there's a channel of water that, the Gastineau Channel that goes between Juneau and a little island called Douglas. Or West Juneau. And there was just a guy that was paddling in the channel the other day in a duct tape raft.
Is that the guy who got himself stranded with his dog?
He wasn't actually stranded, but the Coast Guard did go pick him up because he didn't have any flotation device or emergency stuff at all on his boat, on his duct tape raft.
Okay, he doesn't sound very prepared.
Right. And so, he wasn't in distress at the time, but bear in mind, you can go into the water at any second and you will freeze to death before they launch the Coast Guard cutter to get you. So, they preemptively rescued him and his dog. And there was an article in the paper with him today, and it turns out that he just wants to, he actually came to Alaska to build a homestead, which actually isn't a thing now. The people that do have homesteads, I think are like on a 100-year lease or something. They actually have a show called The Last Alaskans, and it's actually a pretty decent show. It's better than Alaskan Bush People. Don't watch that show. Don't watch that show. That's not Alaska.
Just in case you all wanted some Discovery Channel reviews while you were hanging out with us tonight.
So, but he wanted to grow his own food, and he just wanted a little, his own little hut back in the woods where nobody would bother him. And that's how I see the quote unquote preppers in Alaska, people who just don't want to be bothered and want to grow their own food.
Oh, no, some of them are more extreme than that. We had a gentleman in the very small town I lived in before Nick and I moved north, who had so much ammunition stocked that when his house caught on fire and burned down, the fire department could not get near it because of the number of bullets that were exploding, the number of rounds that were going off.
I vaguely remember this. Yeah, they had to evacuate a 2-block radius or something crazy.
I don't think so for him, but they just, they did have a wide safety margin, and EMS was not able to go in.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of the one that was like in Bremerton or something a couple of years ago.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have some interesting characters up here. So what was your bad? My bad was just the whole Ruby Ridge Waco thing.
I'm going to be completely honest, and I say that I didn't really pick out a bad. I will say, like I said before, I had a hard time watching 100 because of all the subtitles. And I go back to Walking Dead is one of those shows that I set my phone down for. And Fear the Walking Dead just doesn't engage me enough. And so I really had a hard time tracking 100 because of all the subtitles. So I don't know. Somebody shoot me a copy of it dubbed in English, and maybe
Oh my God.
maybe I'll give you a bad.
Oh, that is so funny. All right. What was your ugly? And was it a good ugly or a bad ugly?
Okay, this was a bad ugly, and this is a shout out to Thomas O'Mara.
Oh my God, you and I had the same bad ugly.
Go right in.
Ripped from Young Frankenstein and not nearly as funny. The walker who got bolted by lightning.
Yep.
Oh God, that was terrible. Terrible.
I know lightning generally strikes the tallest structure around, but I just can't see it hitting that one walker at the right exact time.
Well, and the other thing I have to say is, I'm sorry, Thomas Reese, because I know you really liked 100 or 100, but oh my God, the makeup was so bad. Where were Greg Nicotero's minions? Because I did not see them present in that moment.
That's funny.
It was awful. I think I had two bad uglies. That was one of them, and the other one was oh God, what's his name? Troy. Troy's eye.
Yeah, I know that you were complaining about that.
I was. So yeah. I'm gonna piss off the person who told me to get over being a healthcare provider already. But when Teotwawki opened with him like talking to Madison and his eye being totally fine other than having swelling and a shiner, I was like, no way, that dude would have lost his eye. He needed an ophthalmologist after that.
I was gonna say it would at least be completely swollen shut. Like they could have at least done that where he had no use of it, but it was open.
I honest to God, Teotwawki totally lost me at that moment, and I struggled to get through the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that's petty. I know that's pathetic, but I am being completely honest.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would have noticed it unless you guys said something, but once I did, I was like, yeah, that kind of is kind of like Tara's head injury where it was like, she's fine.
You can't unsee it. Wah, wah.
That's funny.
All right, so marching through the rotting potpourri. What is Troy's deal with Madison? Is it a mother thing? Is it a sexual thing? What does he want? Does he want to repopulate the world with Madison? What is going on?
I think he does have a mommy thing because the Jeremiah Otto did say that he wasn't it him that had to like care for his mother in the death rattle of alcoholism?
You paid better attention than I did.
Yeah, I think when after Madison would talk to Jeremiah about, basically like, what's up with your crazy son? And he was in my son's bed, he did, kind of try to make some excuses for Troy. And because I think Troy and Jeremiah are half brothers. I don't know.
Troy and Jake.
Jeremiah was married twice.
Okay. Well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't be so close and that there wouldn't quite be... I don't really feel like there's that bond between the two of them, so that makes sense.
Right. And it kind of sounds like... I think it was Troy that had to take care of his mother in the end, and so I think he does kind of have a mommy fetish for Madison.
But I do think there's some squicky sexual stuff going on there, too.
Oh, definitely.
Ew.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, she is old enough to be his mother, literally.
Yeah, and far be it for me to be the one like May December romance, she can be a cougar all she wants, but that dude's a psycho.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah. So, what do you think if you were in their position? There's this place that's safe and has plenty of food, but there's kind of a psycho kid stalking your family. Like, would you stay or would you go? Because of course, Nick and Luciana are ready to hightail it out of there as soon as Luciana can. But Madison and Alicia, I think, kind of want to stay.
You know,
would you stay or would you go?
I would probably tread water long enough to get some reserves, and I would go.
That's what I'm thinking too. Like, I wouldn't like immediately pick up and leave, but I don't think I could stay because, I mean, we can just see where this is going. This is just going to devolve into utter chaos. I mean, they're going to get like the Corey Walkers in season 6 of Prime.
It was the opening of, now I feel so bad. I think it was the opening of 7, actually.
Okay, so the giant horde. I mean, there are so many things that could go wrong with this. I mean, granted, they are like prepared to the teeth, but can you really be prepared for everything? Can you be prepared for a horde of thousands or a Negan or, some sort of like natural disaster or drought or, I mean,
I think there are not enough people and there's not enough unity at this point for them to be prepared for something like a Negan. And Negan wouldn't even feel right in this series.
No.
I mean, I do have to say that is one thing that's very different between Walking Dead Prime and Fear is that Walking Dead Prime to some degree has held on to that comic book feel. They've got the different groups, and Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene were right out of the comic book, and they held on to their characteristics very much. Negan has held on to his comic book persona very much, and I just don't feel like those characters would quite translate to the realism in Fear. I think Fear is much more gritty and doesn't have that kind of fantastical feel.
Yeah. Definitely.
And maybe that's another reason that I'm not drawn to it. I mean, there's part of me that really likes that step away from reality.
Well, I feel like the Prime characters have more depth.
Which is really funny because, I'm just sitting here arguing that they're less real and more comic booky, but there's certainly people that I care about more, and I'm more interested in their lives and their experiences.
But they have a much richer backstory, and we don't have that with these characters. So that rich backstory gives them a lot of depth that we just don't have with these new characters.
So I was going to bring up that article that I mentioned to you before we signed on tonight, which is there was an article that was published. I think it was in Vanity Fair, but I could be wrong. I'll have to try to find the link. Basically saying that episode 4, 100, accomplished what all of the one-off character building episodes in Walking Dead original did not do. That it basically like gave Salazar this backstory and made him more interesting, and I just didn't feel that way, but I thought it was really interesting that there was this huge positive glowing review of episode 4 of this series that said finally an episode accomplishes what The Walking Dead Prime could not.
See, and I feel like we had the backstory to Salazar, I feel like
we had enough of it.
Yeah. I mean, with his wife and daughter and a few of the, I don't think they were flashbacks. They were more callbacks in discussion to his history that, we had a lot of that for Salazar. I feel like we were missing that for everybody else. So, yeah, I don't know what show Vanity Fair was watching.
So I do have to say that one of the things I did like in episode 4 was the moment where Dante kind of recognizes Salazar and then pulls down his lip and shows the sombra negra tattoo in his lip. So I actually looked that up, and the belief is that the sombra negra was trained by the CIA to fight communists in El Salvador, and that's the death squad that Salazar was part of. And
Ah.
it translates to black shadow. And interestingly enough, apparently this gang, this particular death squad, is reemerging in the real El Salvador at this point in time.
Huh.
They're starting to see some activity of this particular death squad in El Salvador again.
Interesting.
It made me actually feel like I wanted to do some reading about Nicaragua and about the El Salvadorans and really understand better what was going on in Central America in the 80s.
Yeah.
I was a stupid teenager then. I wasn't paying attention to Central America.
Yeah, no. I wasn't even a teenager, so yeah.
So it did spark my interest, and that was good. I felt good about that moment in the episode because it kind of took me to a place where I had some interest and wanted to do something more with what I learned in the episode.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I had completely forgot about the lip tattoo. That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, actually, that was one of the moments that I really liked.
Yeah. One of my things that I really liked was the they're throwing the people off of the dam.
Mm-hmm.
And that pile of walkers that's like they eat the person that lands on top and it becomes a walker and it eats the next
right.
one. And that none of them, all of them are so broken and eaten that they can't move, so they stay there. So it's just, I mean, what a horrible way to die.
Right. Or what a horrible way to spend at least part of your afterlife.
Yeah, I mean, you dangle me over like a concrete slab, knowing that I'm gonna die on impact. Go right ahead, my troubles are over. But you dangle me over that thing where I'm gonna survive the fall and then get eaten and then turn into a walker and eat the next person. No, I will do whatever you want.
Well, Dante certainly did seem to have some admiration for work that Salazar did, so I think they were kindred.
Yeah, very definitely.
I mentioned it earlier, but it did very much where Salazar was asking the woman for absolution, where he was begging her for forgiveness as well. I thought that was, I just thought that was a repeated theme with Salazar in 100 that was very interesting to me.
Lola was her name.
She was a cool character, and we're going to keep her too, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
we ended with her not getting thrown off the Walker Dam. I didn't really understand Ephraim's. Was he just a water bearer for the people in town? Because I think it was really poor planning on his part with the loudspeaker, agua, agua, agua.
So I kind of got the feeling that he was a little off kilter, that he wasn't quite 100% there.
Maybe a little dehydrated.
And I got the feeling that was, I don't know, it was, so when you think about water and you think about water being sacred and you think about priests and priest blessing things and holy water, and I just thought it was kind of his ministering to people.
Okay.
And he talks about the fountain being a miracle.
Right.
So I think that it was kind of a continuation of his role as a priest. I do believe Salazar's assumption that he was a priest. I think that's accurate.
I just think I would have had a better system for delivery than the loudspeaker, Well,
but I also think that you're not quite as crazy as he was or is.
Yeah, no,
he was very
interesting.
Yet. He almost had kind of a Quasimodo feel.
He did. That's funny.
Yeah. Agua, sanctuary.
That's funny.
I really felt like Jake, especially when he was showing Madison the lectures that Jeremiah wanted him to park Madison in front of. Jake says he'll take care of Troy, and he means take care of as in I'm going to prevent him from wreaking havoc. And I just really felt like he is not even remotely bought into his father's vision of what Teotwawki is supposed to be.
I absolutely agree. I really think that Jeremiah and Jake have two different ideas for how things should be ran. And like I said, Jeremiah is either going to give up the reins or he's going to tighten up his grip. So
I think we're definitely going to see a battle between him and his sons are not going to be on the same side.
And it'll be interesting to see whose side he takes. because he knows that, like, Jake is like the one that should run things, but he's got to bug up his butt about Troy. It's almost like Jake isn't his. Like, Troy is his only son,
Right.
and Jake is like a bastard or something. So there's some history there that hopefully they'll touch on and fill out some backstory for them, because I don't know why you would favor Troy over Jake.
Maybe it's because he feels like he has to protect Troy and he doesn't feel like he has to protect Jake.
That's very true. Jake,
you often favor the person who's kind of the weaker link and the person you have to mother hen.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake can definitely take care of himself. I mean, he made it out of the helicopter crash. So,
right.
Which, what's up with that?
Right. I mean, that's definitely going to be something that we see playing out this season is the whole question of who did that and why. I don't think it was just a fluke. I think it was a targeted thing.
Jeremiah poo-pooed it as some crackpot taking shots in the desert. And no.
I think maybe he's not even entirely convinced. I think he might be covering something.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely something lurking out there that is going to wreak havoc in our camp.
So I liked the conversation between Alicia and Nick when Alicia said, "It's all just different circles of hell. Why not this one?"
Oh, I loved that line. Yes. Because you have to admit she's got a point.
And when you were asking earlier, would you stay or would you go? I was like, well, it is all different circles of hell.
Yeah. I mean, we know what's out there waiting, but we also know what's inside the walls, and just, pick your hell.
I just think they're ripping off good 80s bands. It's the end of the world as we know it, and should I stay or should I go?
And living on a prayer.
Right. But we're only on episode 4, so we are not halfway there.
No. We're like a third of the way there.
Well, anything else you want to say in Rotting Potpourri?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, you guys. Thomas Reese, come save this for us because I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And I think Bri has just totally written us off.
Like I said, if I have nothing nice to say, at least I'm going to be funny.
There you go.
Yeah.
And our next podcast is Preacher.
Yay!
Preacher comes back on Monday. So
yeah.
Actually, so our next podcast will probably be finishing up the retrospective with the other Thomas.
Yes.
And then probably Preacher and then probably Fear for this again.
Yep.
And we still have to decide if we're going to try to get Wednesday's Shadow off the ground.
I'm game.
All right. I'm probably going to take you up on that. I have to talk with the person that I did the first episode with and kind of see what her thoughts are, but
it's how I picked up the Preacher podcast. I started on episode 2.
Right. There you go.
I am your sometimes permanent co-host of Last Resort.
Who actually, as Rob said, is always wonderful.
Oh, thank you. That's I told everyone on the retrospective. It's just because I promote the Southgate Media Group. Like us, share us, support us on Patreon. Got a lot of good podcasts, and Dianne and I are, let's see, 3, 4? How many do we have?
I think between this and Preacher, and if we can get American Gods up and running, it'll be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just like to hear ourselves talk.
True, totally. And we like to talk about TV, which is really funny because I never thought I would be talking about TV.
Isn't that funny? And I was the TV kid growing up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess we should say a good night to everyone. And remember,
take it one dead day at a time. That wasn't bad.
We're a little more synced up than you, me, and Thomas. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Look for the retrospective continuing with Thomas O'Mara, and look for our next, hopefully cheerier take on Fear with episode 5.
And listen to us on The Good Word, Preacher, season 2.
Yes, the good news.
Yes, the good news.
And look for Wednesday's Shadow, the American Gods podcast. We're still going to try to get that up and running.
Like us, share us on Facebook, and let us know what you're thinking of Fear the Walking Dead season 3.
Yeah. Thomas Reese, you saved it. Beth Ikenberry Belden, who I think is Brian's sister, if I've got that right, also sounds like she's getting more interested in it. So I'm interested to hear what other people are thinking. I definitely think there are not people out there who are struggling quite as hard as I am. So
Hey, maybe they'll take over the podcast for us.
there you go. For fear, I'm not ready to give up the main season yet.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, take care.
Have a good night.
Good night.